Have you ever felt like someone is subtly, yet devastatingly, manipulating your emotions? Perhaps you've found yourself in situations where your decisions were questioned, your words distorted, or even your perception of reality was doubted. These experiences may be signs that you are dealing with a malignant narcissist, someone who uses manipulative tactics to gain control and power over others. This type of behavior isn't just harmful, it can be extremely dangerous, affecting not only your self-esteem but also your mental health, relationships, and even your ability to make clear decisions. Malignant narcissists spare no effort to manipulate and dominate, often doing so in such a calculated way that it's hard to notice what's happening until it's too late. But the good news is that you don't have to fall victim to these tactics. This video was created to help you recognize the signs of manipulation, understand how these tactics work, and, most importantly, learn practical strategies to resist them. The journey to reclaiming your emotional autonomy starts with knowledge and awareness. The more you understand the dynamics of narcissistic behavior, the better equipped you will be to protect yourself and even help others do the same. In the next chapter, we'll dive into what malignant narcissism really is, what defines this behavior, and why it can be so harmful. What is malignant narcissism? To understand the manipulation tactics used by malignant narcissists, we first need to define what it really means to be one. Malignant narcissism is an extreme form of narcissism that combines traits like excessive egocentrism, lack of empathy, and manipulative behaviors. While common narcissism might manifest as vanity or a desire for recognition, malignant narcissism goes further, with a calculated drive to control, harm, and subjugate others to achieve personal goals. A person with malignant narcissism doesn't hesitate to use their emotional skills to exploit the weaknesses of others. They are often charismatic, intelligent, and self-assured, making them difficult to identify at first. However, these qualities are tools they use to manipulate and gain control. The result? Toxic relationships where victims frequently feel confused, guilty, and emotionally drained. Behind this behavior lies an internal dynamic that malignant narcissists often hide. Despite appearing supremely confident, these individuals carry deep emotional fragility. To protect this vulnerability, they construct a dominant and controlling persona, projecting their insecurities onto others. As a result, relationships become power games where they manipulate those around them to reaffirm their superiority and maintain their fragile self-esteem. It's crucial to understand that the impact of interacting with a malignant narcissist isn't just emotional. It can be devastating to a victim's mental health. Recognizing these traits is the first step to avoiding their traps. Now that we understand what defines a malignant narcissist, in the next chapter, we'll dive into the most common manipulation tactics they use, with clear examples to help you identify them in your daily life. Manipulation tactics used by malignant narcissists. Now that we know what characterizes a malignant narcissist, it's time to explore the tools they use to manipulate others. These tactics are often subtle but extremely effective, leaving anyone emotionally vulnerable. Knowing these strategies is essential to identifying and protecting yourself against them. 1. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most powerful and destructive tactics used by malignant narcissists. It involves manipulating the victim's perception of reality, making them doubt their own feelings, memories, or sanity. This technique is used to weaken the victim's self-trust, making them more dependent on the manipulator. Example: imagine confronting the narcissist about something they did, and they respond, "That never happened. You're imagining things." Over time, these constant denials can make you question what is real and what isn't. Impact: the victim becomes confused and begins to trust the manipulator more than their own perception. 2. Triangulation. Triangulation occurs when the narcissist involves a third person in the dynamic, either to create conflicts, isolate the victim, or manipulate both sides. This technique is used to weaken alliances and keep the narcissist in control of the situation. Example: they might say to you, "So-and-so agrees with me that you're overreacting," even if the other person never said that. Impact: This creates insecurity and feelings of isolation, making the victim more dependent on the narcissist. 3. Guilt and victimization. Malignant narcissists often position themselves as victims to deflect attention from their own faults and manipulate emotionally. They use guilt to control your actions, making you feel responsible for hurting or disappointing them. Example, when you try to set boundaries, they might say something like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me." Impact. You feel guilty for prioritizing your own needs and end up giving in to their demands. 4. Empty promises and idealization. In the beginning of many relationships, malignant narcissists charm their victims with compliments, attention, and promises that seem too good to be true. This is part of the idealization cycle, where they create a false sense of security before starting the cycle of devaluation. Example, "I've never met anyone as special as you," or "I promise I'll change." These promises are often broken once they have control over the situation. Impact. The victim clings to the hope that the narcissist will one day return to being the person they were in the beginning. 5. Passive aggression. This type of manipulation is subtle but equally damaging. Malignant narcissists often make comments that seem innocent on the surface but are intended to belittle or hurt. Example, "Oh, I'm surprised you actually finished that project. I didn't expect it so soon." Impact. The victim feels they can never be good enough, feeding into the narcissist's control dynamic. 6. Isolation. Another common tactic is isolating the victim from their support networks, such as friends and family. They achieve this by creating conflicts, manipulating the victim's perception of these people, or monopolizing their time. Example, "Your family doesn't understand how special you are like I do," or "Why do your friends always dislike me?" Impact. Isolation increases the victim's dependence on the narcissist and reduces their ability to seek external help. 7. Exploitation of personal weaknesses. Malignant narcissists are experts at identifying weaknesses and using them as weapons to manipulate. They may exploit insecurities, past traumas, or fears to maintain control over the victim. Example, "No one else will want you with your personality," or "You've never been good at making decisions. Let me handle it." Impact. This further erodes the victim's self-esteem, making them unable to resist the narcissist's control. 8. Silent treatment and withdrawal of affection. When a malignant narcissist feels they are losing control, they may resort to silence as a form of punishment. The withdrawal of affection or attention creates anxiety in the victim and forces them to give in. Example, they ignore your messages, refuse to speak, or act as if you don't exist. Impact. The victim feels rejected and desperate to fix the situation, often giving in to the manipulator's demands. Each of these tactics is designed to undermine the victim's confidence and emotional autonomy, trapping them in a cycle of manipulation and control. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to protecting yourself. In the next chapter, we'll explore how these tactics deeply impact the victim's behavior and mental health, creating a sense of confusion and helplessness. The effect of manipulation on behavior and mental health. The manipulation tactics used by malignant narcissists leave profound marks on the behavior and mental health of their victims. Often, these effects aren't immediately recognized, but they accumulate over time, causing confusion, emotional exhaustion, and even long-term psychological issues. One of the most common consequences is a decline in self-esteem. The victim begins to question their own worth, abilities, and even their perception of reality, especially when subjected to tactics like gaslighting or passive-aggressive comments. The narcissist creates an environment of uncertainty and insecurity, leaving the victim emotionally dependent and afraid to make decisions on their own. In addition, the emotional isolation caused by the narcissist contributes to a deep sense of loneliness. By cutting the victim off from friends and family, they eliminate external sources of support, increasing their control. This isolation, combined with constant manipulation, can lead to a cycle of anxiety and depression. Victims of malignant narcissists also report feeling a sense of mental and physical exhaustion. The constant need to walk on eggshells, trying to avoid conflict or please the narcissist, drains emotional energy. This can manifest physically as headaches, stomach issues, or other psychosomatic symptoms. Recognizing these impacts is crucial to beginning the recovery process. In the next chapter, we'll explore practical strategies for combating these tactics and reclaiming your emotional autonomy. How to combat manipulation tactics. Now that we understand the manipulation tactics used by malignant narcissists and their devastating effects, it's time to learn how to combat them. These practical strategies can help you reclaim your emotional autonomy and prevent these individuals from exerting control over your life. 1. Recognize manipulation patterns. The first step to combating a malignant narcissist is identifying their tactics. Simply recognizing that you're being manipulated already weakens the manipulator's power. Ask yourself, does this person make me feel confused or insecure often? Are my perceptions constantly being questioned? By identifying patterns like gaslighting, triangulation, or passive aggression, you begin to build a mental barrier against the narcissist's influence. 2. Set clear boundaries. Malignant narcissists hate boundaries, but establishing and maintaining them is one of the most effective ways to protect yourself. Be direct and firm when communicating your boundaries. I'm not comfortable discussing this. This decision has been made and I won't revisit it. Remember, you don't owe explanations or justifications. The key is to hold your ground, even if the narcissist tries to manipulate you into giving in. 3. Avoid emotional traps. Narcissists love provoking intense emotional reactions to maintain control. Avoid falling into this trap. Instead of reacting impulsively, take a deep breath and respond calmly and rationally. I need a moment to think before I respond. This approach disrupts the cycle of manipulation and gives you time to evaluate the situation more clearly. 4. Seek external support. One of the most effective ways to combat manipulation is to talk to trusted people who can provide an outside perspective. Friends, family members, or a therapist can help you identify patterns of abuse you might not notice on your own. Example: talk to someone outside the situation to validate your perceptions and reinforce your confidence. Having a strong support network helps you maintain the emotional strength needed to resist the narcissist. Practice self-care. Dealing with a malignant narcissist can be emotionally draining, but caring for yourself can strengthen your resilience. Invest in practices that promote your mental and emotional health, such as meditation or mindfulness to reduce stress, physical exercise to release built-up tension, hobbies or creative activities that renew your energy. Remember, the stronger you are emotionally, the less vulnerable you'll be to manipulation. 6. Consider distancing yourself. In some cases, the best way to combat a malignant narcissist is to distance yourself completely. This can be difficult, especially in family or professional situations, but it's essential for your emotional well-being. Blocking the narcissist's access to your life can be the most powerful step toward regaining control. These strategies not only help reduce the impact of manipulation, but also strengthen your self-esteem and confidence. In the next chapter, we'll discuss how to prevent involvement with narcissists in the future and recognize warning signs from the start. Prevention. How to recognize and avoid narcissists in the future. Recognizing and dealing with a malignant narcissist is challenging, but the best long-term strategy is avoiding involvement with them in the first place. Preventing these toxic dynamics requires attention to warning signs and careful analysis of people's behavior. 1. Identify warning signs. Malignant narcissists often exhibit characteristic behaviors from the very beginning. These are some common red flags. Excessive charm at first. They may seem extremely charming and attentive, often making you feel like you've met someone special. However, this behavior is often calculated. Lack of empathy. Pay attention to how they respond to the suffering of others. Malignant narcissists tend to dismiss or minimize other people's feelings. Frequent criticism of others. Negative comments about ex-partners, friends, or colleagues can be a red flag. 2. Trust your intuition. If something feels off or uncomfortable about someone's behavior, trust your instincts. Often, intuition is your first line of defense against manipulation. Ask yourself, do I feel respected and valued in this interaction? Does this person leave me feeling emotionally drained or insecure? 3. Set clear expectations. From the beginning of any relationship, make your needs and boundaries clear. Emotionally healthy people will respect your limits, while malignant narcissists are likely to test or ignore them. Avoiding involvement with narcissists doesn't mean distrusting everyone around you, but rather observing behavior patterns and prioritizing your emotional well-being. In the next and final chapter, we'll consolidate what we've learned and explore how to reclaim your emotional autonomy when dealing with these dynamics. Reclaiming your emotional autonomy. Facing malignant narcissists may seem like a daunting battle, but it's not impossible. Throughout this video, you've learned how to identify the manipulation tactics they use, the impacts these strategies have on your mental and emotional health, and, most importantly, how to combat them. Knowledge is your most powerful weapon. The more you understand manipulative dynamics, the better prepared you'll be to face them. Remember, you don't have to be a victim of these tactics. Recognizing patterns, setting boundaries, avoiding emotional traps, and prioritizing self-care are fundamental steps toward reclaiming your emotional autonomy. Change may not happen overnight, but every small step is a victory on the path to a healthier and more balanced life. You are stronger than you realize. Don't let anyone manipulate or diminish your value. Protecting your inner peace is an act of courage, and choosing to free yourself from these dynamics is the first step to regaining control of your life. If this content was helpful to you, share it with someone who may be facing emotional manipulation. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and continue learning how to strengthen your emotional well-being.